Can I make a guess? You spent a lot of time choosing your CMMS. You spent months getting it configured. You sat through training and everybody nodded. Everybody said they understood. And today, you're still answering the same questions. How do I close this work order? What does this status mean? Nobody ever showed me that. Sound familiar? If it does, let me tell you something. I don't think your biggest problem is your software. And I don't even think it's your people. I think it's your training. Hi, I'm Matthew, and I've spent more than 10 years implementing, administering, and cleaning up CMMS systems. Most recently, I had the opportunity to build the training program for a brand new CMMS from the ground up, creating the help files, writing the user manuals, designing the training materials, and deciding how the system would actually be taught to its users. And I've learned something that surprises a lot of people. Most CMMS training doesn't fail because the trainer wasn't good. It fails because organizations treat training like a finish line instead of the beginning of the journey. They train everyone once, but people forget. So they start making up their own way of doing things. Therefore, 6 months later, everyone's frustrated, the reports don't make sense, and management starts wondering what happened. Here's the good news. Training is one of the easiest parts of your CMMS to improve. You don't need new software. You don't need another implementation. You don't need to start over. You just need a better approach. So if you and I were sitting down over a cup of coffee and looking at your CMMS together, these are the 3 conversations I'd want to have with you. Can I make another guess? When your CMMS was being implemented, your team spent weeks, maybe months, deciding how it was going to work. And let's be honest, that wasn't easy work. You debated workflows, you argued over codes, you figured out which fields should be required. You decided what a completed work order should look like. That was the foundation for how your maintenance department was going to operate for years to come. Remember our implementation episode? If you haven't seen it, check out this video here. That's exactly what your implementation and especially your statement of work is supposed to accomplish. So let me ask you this. After all that work, why would you spend months building the foundation and only spend a day teaching people how to use it? That's where I see a lot of organizations go off the rails. Training day finally arrives. The trainer walks in, opens the same slide deck they've probably presented to over 100 other clients, and everybody gets the generic version. Now, before anyone gets upset, that's not necessarily the trainer's fault. They know the software. That's what they're there to teach. But they don't know how your maintenance department has decided to use it. So if you simply accept the generic training, your technicians leave knowing what the software can do, not what you expect them to do. Therefore, your training should be built around your process, not every feature the software has to offer. If you and I were sitting down to build your training program today, I'd ask one question. What does a technician need to know to be successful on day one? Notice I didn't say 6 months or a year. Day one. For most organizations, the answer is probably pretty simple. Which work order statuses should they use? Which fields are required? What does a properly completed work order look like? Start there. The rest can come later because right now, you don't know what you don't know. That's exactly why I want your technicians to test the system before go live. They're supposed to expose questions, shortcuts, and opportunities that nobody in the implementation meetings ever thought to ask. Now let me ask you something else. Did your vendor give you a test system? Most CMMS vendors do. And if they did your technicians ever get to use it prior to go live? Because this is one of the biggest missed opportunities I see. Most organizations hand the test system to the administrators. They configure the screens, they run the reports, they may even test some workflows and tweak a few codes. Then they decide it's ready. I'd do something different. I'd grab 2 respected technicians, hand them the test system, and simply say, don't worry about breaking anything. I want you to break my assumptions. Then I'd sit back and watch. Can they find what they need? Do they understand what the buttons mean? Where do they hesitate? Where do they immediately start looking for shortcuts? Every one of those moments is teaching you something. Every question they ask is pointing to something you can improve before go live. And here's something I don't want you to do. Don't automatically reject a shortcut. If a technician finds a faster way to complete a work order, be curious before you're critical. Ask them why. Maybe they're avoiding unnecessary clicks. Maybe they're working around a confusing screen. Maybe they just found a better way. Remember our economy of clicks? People naturally follow the path of least resistance. It's your job to not fight that. Your job is to make sure the path of least resistance also produces the best data. Before your official training, let 2 experienced technicians spend an hour in the test system by themselves. Don't coach them, don't rescue them, just observe. Everything they struggle with, everything they question, everything they try to shortcut, those are the things you should fix before go live. That's free consulting from the people who will use your CMMS every day. And here's the part people don't always think about. When technicians help shape the system, they start taking ownership of it. It stops being management CMMS and it starts becoming our CMMS. People support what they help build. So by the time formal training begins, you've already eliminated a lot of the questions that should have been slowing the class down. Now the trainer can spend their time reinforcing a process that's already been tested instead of explaining confusing screens. And if they start wandering into features your team is never going to use, it's perfectly okay to redirect the conversation. Just say, hey, we appreciate you showing us what the software can do. Now let's focus on how we're going to use it. Because at the end of the day, your vendor's job is to explain the software. Your job is to build a maintenance team that is confident in using it. That's a big difference. Can I leave you with one question? Did your technicians get to use a system before your last go live? Or was launch day the first time they ever touched the CMMS? I'd love to hear how your implementation handled it in the comments below. Can I make another guess? You've got a Bob. Maybe their name isn't Bob, but you've got one. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Every CMMS question somehow ends up on their desk. Hey Bob, how do I create a PM? Hey Bob, why won't this report run? Hey Bob, where did this code come from? Bob knows. Bob always knows until Bob retires or goes on vacation or takes another job. Then everyone starts acting like the CMMS is haunted. Spoiler alert, it isn't. You just built your entire operation around one person's memory. Now let me ask you something. If your CMMS administrator didn't come to work tomorrow, how much knowledge would disappear with them? That's not a comfortable question, but it's probably one worth answering. Because if the answer is quite a bit, you don't have a software problem. You have a knowledge problem. So here's what I would do if I walked into your shop tomorrow morning. I'd identify 2 or 3 people who could become your internal trainers. Notice I didn't say the smartest people or the people with the most seniority. I'm looking for something different. Who's curious? Who asks the good questions? Who's respected by the rest of your maintenance team? Who genuinely enjoys helping other people? Those are usually the people who become great trainers. Now here's another question. When a technician starts next month, how do they learn the CMMS? Do they have a structured training program or do they just get introduced to Bob? Because that's not onboarding. That's apprenticeship by interruption. Every question pulls Bob away from what he's doing. Every interruption slows someone down. And every answer disappears as soon as the conversation is over. Let's fix that. Remember our SOP episode? If you haven't seen it, check it out here. When I say documentation, I'm not talking about a 3-ring binder collecting dust on a shelf. I'm talking about building a real training program, lesson plans, examples of excellent work orders, hands-on exercises in your test system, quick reference guides for the things people ask over and over and over again. Now let me ask you this. If a brand new technician started Monday morning, could you hand them a structured training program or would you hand them Bob's extension? That's the difference, because one builds confidence, the other builds dependency. And here's another mistake I see. Organizations teach their trainers what to click. I'd rather teach you why they're clicking it, because buttons change, but the reasons behind your workflow usually doesn't. So when the software gets updated, They'll understand how to adapt instead of memorizing yesterday's screens. The next time somebody asks you a really good question, don't just answer it. Capture it. Turn it into a lesson plan. Add it to your onboarding. Because if one person asks that question today, someone else is going to ask it 6 months from now. Every great question is future training material. And here's what happens when you start doing that. Your trainers become more confident. Your new employees become more confident. And Bob, well, Bob might actually get to eat lunch while it's still warm. Because here's the goal. The goal isn't to create one CMMS expert. The goal is to build a team where knowledge is shared so that nobody has to be the hero. People are going to retire. People are going to leave. People are going to get promoted. That's normal. Your training program shouldn't have to start over every time it happens. Alrighty, one last question. When do you think CMMS training is finished? Go live? 30 days later? After everyone has sat through the class at least once? I'd argue it's never. Because the day after go live is when your team starts showing you how the system is actually built. They're going to find things that don't make sense. They're going to discover better ways to do certain tasks. They're going to ask questions nobody thought to ask during implementation. And yes, they're probably going to find new creative ways to break your reports. That's not failure. That's feedback. Remember our feedback episode? If you haven't seen it, right there. One of the biggest mistakes I see is organizations asking for feedback and then doing absolutely nothing with it. Eventually, people stop making suggestions, not because they stopped caring, because they stop believing anyone is actually listening. Don't let that happen. Every meaningful improvement you make to your CMMS should be followed by an improvement to your training. If you simplify a workflow, update the lesson plan. If you add a required field, update the exercise. If you change a procedure, update the example. Otherwise, your training program becomes a time capsule. Everything inside was technically correct about 3 software updates ago. It's sitting right there next to the instructions for installing it from a stack of floppy disks. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you watched one of your technicians actually use the CMMS? Not looked at the reports, not reviewed completed work orders, actually watched them. If it's been a while, go spend an hour with them. Seriously, leave your desk. Work with them, walk with them, watch how they create work orders, watch how they complete them, watch where they hesitate, then ask one simple question. Why'd you do it that way? Not because you think they're wrong, but because you're genuinely curious. Sometimes they'll tell you about a problem you never knew existed. Sometimes they'll show you a shortcut that saves everyone time. Sometimes you'll realize they're doing something the hard way simply because nobody ever showed them a better way. Those are all wins. And here's a trap I want you to avoid. A technician says, "Hey, I found a better, faster way." Your first thought is, "That's not how I designed it." Maybe, but don't dismiss a good idea just because you didn't think of it first. If it still collects the right data, if it doesn't break the workflow, if it saves people time, use it. Congratulations. You just improved the economy of clicks. Can I confess something? Some of the best workflow improvements I've ever recommended weren't my ideas. They came from technicians. Turns out they were right, and I was smart enough to listen. So if one of your technicians comes up with a better way, don't let your ego get in the way of a better process. One of my favorite moments during training is when I can tell a technician, there's actually an easier way to do that. And then I show them. You can almost see the light bulb come on because now the CMMS isn't creating extra work, it's removing it. And that's when people start seeing value. And once they see value, they start looking for more ways to improve the system. That's exactly the culture you're trying to build. Now think about your maintenance program for a second. You already know what happens when preventative maintenance gets ignored. Nothing dramatic happens tomorrow. Things slowly drift, however. Little problems become bigger problems. Then one day, everybody stands around asking, "How did this happen?" Training works exactly the same way. Ignore it long enough, and your data starts drifting. Your workflows start drifting. Your reports start drifting. Not all at once. One outdated lesson, one ignored suggestion, one unchecked shortcut at a time. That's why I tell clients this: a CMMS is a living organism. If you stop improving it, it starts declining. Not because the software got worse, because your attention moved somewhere else. And maybe the biggest lesson I've learned over the years is this: people don't remember what you told them, they remember what you helped them discover. So keep listening, keep observing, keep improving, keep training, because consistency beats intensity every single time. So if you and I were wrapping up this meeting right now, I'd probably leave you with one assignment. Not 10, just one. When you get back to your desk, take an honest look at your training program. Then ask yourself 3 questions. Is our training built around our process? Have we trained more than one person to teach it? When was the last time we updated it? If you can answer yes to all 3, you're doing better than most. If not, or if your first response was, "What's a training program?" you're not alone. Don't try and fix everything this week. Pick one thing, one lesson, one exercise, one workflow, one improvement. Then next week, pick another. Because that's how great CMMS programs are built. Not with one giant program, but with hundreds of small improvements over time. And if you're still sitting there thinking, "Matthew, I would love to do that, but honestly, I don't know where to start," that's okay. You don't have to figure it out by yourself. If you'd like my help, you can find my contact information down in the description. Whether it's training, workflows, reports, implementations, or you're just trying to figure out why your CMMS seems to fight you every day, I'd be happy to help. Because here's what I believe: you don't need a perfect CMMS. You need one that's a little better this month than it was last month. If we can accomplish that, we're moving in the right direction. Next time, and I'm really excited about these next 3 episodes, we're kicking off a 3-part series on mobile devices in CMMS. First, we're going to be talking about the advantages, where phones and tablets can make your technicians faster, improve documentation, and save you time. Then we'll flip the coin and talk about the disadvantages, because believe it or not, mobile devices aren't the right answer for every maintenance department. And finally, we'll cover the practical side of rolling them out: shared devices, IT restrictions, sensitive areas where mobile devices may not be allowed, damaged hardware, updates, security, and everything else that can make or break a mobile deployment. I've been looking forward to making this series because there's a lot of advice out there on mobile devices, but not much of it comes from the perspective of the people who actually have to use them every day. So if you've been thinking about going mobile or wondering if it was the right decision, I think you're really going to enjoy these next 3 episodes. I'll see you next time. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and subscribe. It helps more maintenance professionals find the channel, and it tells YouTube there are people out there who actually enjoying talking about CMMS. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What's the best or worst CMMS training you've ever had? Share your stories in the comments. There's a good chance someone else can learn from your experience. Now, if you thought this video was helpful, you'll really enjoy this video here. It walks you through the implementation process, and after today's conversation, I think you'll see why getting that part right makes training so much easier. I'll see you on the other side. I'm Matthew. I'm the Sassy Guy, where every work order tells a story.